Hi everybody, welcome to everyone joining. I can still see numbers going up, so I'm going to wait till we reach a plateau and then I'll start. I think we may have reached a plateau now. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. I know it's a very busy time of year, but I'm really glad that you've come along to hear about our MST in History of Art and Visual Culture. I'm Dr. Lydia Hamlet, and I'm the academic director on the course, and I run all the History of Art and Visual Culture courses at ICE. And I'm joined today by lots of my colleagues, including my co-director, Dr. Christina Faraday, and many my ICE marketing colleagues and also admin colleagues, and we're all here to answer your questions. We also have today a current student on our MST who's just started her year 2 dissertation, Cassie Lowe. So she'll be here to talk to you as well. This is the last day of our open week. We've started doing these open weeks for MST courses in particular in recent years. So as you can see, we've got a wide range of MSTs. ICE is the main hub in the University of Cambridge for running MST courses. And we have everything from MST in AI ethics to creative writing to performance, writing for performance. But I'm guessing that if you're all here this evening, you're here for the art. So I'm going to talk to you about history of art and visual culture. Just a little bit about ICE. We celebrated our 150th anniversary last year. So we have been the only hub for continuing education in the university for over 150 years now, which is wonderful. We reach a lot more audiences than the main university, of course, is the University of Cambridge. We're part of the university, but we offer access to a diverse range of adults and students across the world. So we run both online undergraduate level courses as well as postgraduate courses for which students matriculate through the university. And the MST is one of those courses. So just to give you a little structure for the session today, I'll be talking for about 20 minutes, and then we'll have lots of time for your questions. I know that some of you sent questions in already, so we'll be answering those in the chat. Any that my colleagues can't answer, I will be answering at the end. And any that you think of during the presentation, please just write those in the chat or feel free to ask us at the end. So I'll talk a little bit about the programme outline and the course in general, including the course content for next year, a little bit about how it's taught and also how it's assessed. We'll talk a bit about the colleges that we work with across Cambridge and our partnerships with them. Then we're going to hear from our student Cassie. Then I'll talk a little bit about the application process and hopefully demystify it for you if you are concerned about what you might have to provide for that. Talk a little bit about fees and funding for the course, and then how we can support you during the application process. And then, as I said, we hope to have lots of time for a Q&A at the end. So as I said, I'm Dr. Lydia Hamlet. I'm academic director for the subject at ICE and a fellow of Murray Edwards College in Cambridge. And I'm here today with Christina Faraday, who's my course co-director and the director of Term 1. The director of Term 2 is Dr. Marie Collier, and the director of Term 3 is Dr. Lorna Dillon. And all our course directors have taught in Cambridge for many years. And are also leading research in their own areas. And I think Christina will tell you a little bit perhaps about her own interest.
Yes, I'm a research fellow at Gonville and Caius College in Cambridge, and I specialise in the Tudor period, all kinds of art and material culture. And the theme of our first course sort of relates to that, which is intermediality, although I'm sure we'll come on to that shortly. But yes, we're all kind of Cambridge-based lecturers as well. And that's what sort of embeds the course in the university partly.
Great, thank you. So a brief programme outline. As you probably know by now, this is a course which is designed for those of you who want to study at postgraduate level in the discipline of history of art and visual culture, and to develop these high-level, level 7 skills, but to do it part-time, over 2 years, starting in October 25, and you'll be handing in your dissertations in September, the very beginning of September 27. And you'll study 6 taught content-driven modules over your first year. And then the second year is a dissertation year when you focus on your own research. And this is taught in 3 residential teaching blocks in the first year. So you cover 3 pairs of modules, so 2 times the 3 residential teaching blocks. And during these teaching blocks of 4 days, you will learn very sort of intensively about history of art and visual culture. And in the second year, you have 3 day schools where you can talk about your research, update us on your research. It's usually Christina and I who run these day schools. You can tell us about your progress. We can offer support and advice about where to go with your research. And you can also test out your research ideas on your fellow students as well. And those are also held in Cambridge, as are the residential teaching blocks in year 1. And the number of credits you will receive for this, the whole qualification over the 2 years, is 180 credits at master's level. The course content in year 1, which is, as I said, a taught year, is arranged thematically. And in each theme, we try to introduce methods and approaches that you can think about not only in relation to the content, but also in relation to your wider research interests and your dissertation. So trying to use things that you can think laterally and use these methods and approaches. We also teach lots of practical skills on each in each term. So we have, in fact, about half of the residential is actually hands-on sessions in museums, in libraries, in archives, in printing press rooms, all sorts of wonderful sessions where you'll meet curators, you'll be able to handle objects, and really think about the kind of practical skills that you need to conduct art history research. And that's often, and we encourage it often to be very much object-based. So you need to get to know the objects, how they're made, and that will sort of inform you about their meaning. So for each theme, as I said, they're taught thematically, but across often different centuries. So Christina, do you want to sort of talk a little bit about what we do in term 1, which is the term that we co-teach?
Yes, so each term is sort of proceeds chronologically, but also thematically. So thinking across media is also primarily the medieval and early modern term. So you'll have lectures on things like the relationship between print and architecture, or old master drawings, and the different media that they sort of inform or are made in. And then lectures from me and Lydia about areas of interest to us. So at the moment, I run a session on beds, and in the early modern period, in the Tudor period, and also just thinking about, why it is that we have a course that we're calling Art History and Visual Culture, and what the different disciplines coming together does for our study of this kind of material. So thinking across media is very much designed to expose you to a range of art object types, but also to get you thinking a little bit about maybe the prehistory. If your dissertation focus ends up being more on the 19th century, on the 20th century, you'll find lots of things actually didn't, funnily enough, begin then, and it gives you a bit of a longer view of the history of art as well.
Yeah, often people come when they do their later assignments for art and environment and visual cultures of activism, and they say, oh, I've been thinking more about thinking across media. So it sort of sets you up. It gives you a lot of the skills that you need for art history and visual culture in general. Our term 2 is art and the environment, and term 3 is visual cultures of activism. So those are the 3 set themes for next year. Dissertation is undertaken in year 2. And for this, you work broadly independently, so mainly independently. It's independently driven, and you're working on a topic that you love, hopefully, a topic that you've chosen at application. You may have slightly changed your ideas about this topic over the year, and we hope you do, in fact. But you'll be working on this area under the supervision of an expert in the field, and you'll have 5 one-to-one sessions with them across the year. And these can be either face-to-face or online. And as I said, to support your studies and so that you can touch base with your fellow, your cohort, who you'll probably be in touch with a lot already throughout the year. And Cassie can perhaps tell us a bit more about that side of the student experience. But you'll sort of touch base with Christina and I as well in these day schools and present your research and get feedback on your research from us as well. The way I've said a little bit about how it's taught. So I've talked a little bit about the practical sessions and trips that we run. The morning sessions are largely based at Madingley Hall, and they're often lectures with seminar components built in. So time for discussion and questioning our lecturers and asking questions from, the experts in the field. These people might be faculty from the University of Cambridge, or they might be experts in their field who are external to the university, but they're always very interesting people who have a lot to say about their area of expertise. And this will be assessed in the first year with 3 assignments, 3 essays of about 4,000 to 5,000 words each across the year. And we will give you training on how to complete these assignments and what kind of how to approach them during the teaching blocks as well. The second year, as I said, is taught one-to-one in supervisions. So in Cambridge, a supervision is a one-to-one session where you have the opportunity to question directly an expert in the field, and the 3-day schools, as I described before. And the dissertation that you hand in at the end is about 12,000 to 15,000 words long. So it's about the same amount of words that you hand in across the 3 assignments in the first year. So these are the colleges that we partner with in terms of history of art and visual culture. Lucy Cavendish, which is an undergraduate and graduate and a mixed college now. It used to be a women's college, but it's now a mixed college. Murray Edwards College, which is my own college, and it's a college for women. And Wolfson, which is a graduate college in Cambridge. All of these colleges are really vibrant and wonderful. If you want sort of advice on colleges and which ones to choose, you can always get in touch with us or our enrolment team. And they all have really good websites as well. So I would advise you, if you can, go and visit the colleges before you apply. But if not, they all have really extensive websites nowadays, and you can really get a feel of how the college is from their website. But they're all really good, and we've had really good feedback on all these colleges from our students. So Cassie, it's you. Sorry, I didn't give you pre-warning, but we're going to hear just a little bit about the student experience of one of our students who started in 2023 and has now just gone into her 2nd year. So I'm going to hand over to you, Cassie.
Thanks, Lydia. I wasn't expecting to see double my face, so sorry everybody that you've got 2 lots of my face. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak today, and welcome everybody to what may be a really exciting time for you as you proceed forward with this course. I have absolutely loved doing this course. It's really been such an exciting and interesting and really a massive learning opportunity for me. So I really do rate it as an opportunity for you to undertake. It's been really exciting. As Christina's already said, the 3 units broadly cover periods and art movements through from like the 900s through to contemporary art. So you get exposed to a lot of different periods of art movements, and the historical context that goes alongside those. So really quite a fascinating romp through the last kind of 1,000 years or so, but really, really good and you do go into enough sufficient depth as well, so you don't sort of feel as though you've gone too quickly, which is great. I think what's really interesting and exciting about the way the course is kind of set up is that you engage in the art periods, but you also have these like ongoing themes, and so not only do they help you sort of have something to hang onto in your exploration of the arts, so if you're sort of in doubt about a particular period, you can really focus on these themes. I myself not overly familiar with the kind of early modern period, and so you know, the theme of the kind of intermediality, intertextual sort of elements for me were really helpful as a way of understanding those and unlocking those and kind of inviting conversations. So you sort of get guided through stuff that you may not be familiar with, and you don't need to be. Okay, so kind of useful to from a student perspective. I sort of went into them and thought, I'm going to look like really foolish doing this because I just don't know enough about it. But actually, not only do you get taught, obviously, so you get kind of a good introduction that way, but also there are these themes that you can engage with and ways of thinking about things and questions to be asking yourself while engaging with it. So you never feel sort of like you haven't got something to kind of hang on to, is maybe a way of thinking about it. So the way that the essays are set up as such that you can also really engage with the particular periods, the particular kind of ideas or themes that come out of those, but equally because of these themes, you can also engage in just the thematic element as well. And so for example, for the first unit, the theme of intermediality really interested me, but I wrote about a contemporary artist of Dorothea Tanning and a sculptural piece she did, which was highly intermedial, lots and lots of bits going on. And so, you know, I really engaged in the theme specifically. So, but that's not to say that, you know, to be honest with you, I ended up writing about 1,000 essay questions in every unit because there's just so much to explore. You almost have to sort of narrow yourself down. There's so many interesting things to do. And I think in a way also, you know, my trepidation about sort of lack of familiarity with particular periods, unit 1 and unit 2 were just, you know, I was a bit nervous going into them, has actually made me so much more interested in those areas than I ever thought I could have been. So when I you know, in a gallery setting, say, you know, I'd always be sort of drawn towards contemporary art, and I'd just be like, you know, kind of avoid those rooms maybe and wander through them quite quickly. The course has definitely shown me a way, not only a way of engaging with them, but things to think about, things to notice. All of that has been really helpful. So I now sort of take my time in those rooms because I have access to a way of understanding them that I didn't previously have. So I think that's a really nice thing about the course as well. The nice thing about Cambridge, I think it's important to kind of, I suppose, think about why here and why Cambridge in particular from a student perspective as well. It has such a wealth of resources. I think that can't be understated, both in kind of physical archival research you can do, the stuff you get to actually see and hold and touch as part of the course is slightly overwhelming, but in a really nice way. You know, you're sort of leafing through books that are from the 900s and you think, oh my goodness, this is, you know, this is so old, and it's a little bit frightening at start, but then when you get used to it, you're sort of like, this is just so fascinating that Cambridge has got this kind of on in stock and ready to go and ready to use. If that's an area of interest for you, then, you know, this is such a great place to be. But equally with the number of museums and galleries and everything that this place has, you know, you just have so much as resources to use, let alone your kind of college resources in their libraries and the UL, the university's library as well. They've been so helpful whenever I've been, you know, I need this resource. They're just straight away, almost like a within 24 hours response. They're like, here's an electronic copy of it. So they are really good and supportive. Second year dissertation I'm sort of doing now. So my immediate reaction to that is that it's a really nice opportunity for really deep dive into an area of interest for you. So the 3 essays that I wrote allowed me actually to just kind of, I was already sort of slightly interested in something, and it just, the course unlocked a way of thinking about it that I hadn't really thought about, and suddenly I was able to just really deep dive into areas that interested me. The dissertation gets so much deeper. You really concentrate your efforts, and you produce something original and new and exciting and contribute to kind of the discourse of the field. So it's a great opportunity to do stuff like that. And the only final thing I'll just say, I don't know if I've gone over time, I probably have, but the only other thing to say is just the cohort experience has been I don't want to say the best part of the course, that upset my tutors, but one of the best parts about the course has been the cohort experience. we had like a range of people on the course from a range of backgrounds. So I came from English literature into the history of art space. Colleagues of mine came from fine art. Others, some people do come from history of art. So if that's you, you're also obviously welcome here. But equally, some people have come from history. Some people are coming completely from a totally different area and are just really interested in history of art and want to learn more about it. And I think that's also a really nice part. And we come with these varied perspectives, and that makes conversation so much richer, actually. So people with different disciplinary experiences come to this in with different perspectives, notice different things, come with different theories maybe, or different ideas, and it just makes the conversation so much better. Different life experiences as well, right? So that's really exciting, and I think that speaks to the age range that we have on the course and things like that as well. It's we're at different stages and we can all help each other in different ways, and I think that's quite nice. The people on the course are genuinely friends of mine now. We like meet up outside of the course and go to galleries, and we keep in contact via like WhatsApp and things. And there's just such a nice atmosphere. People sort of saying like, "How are your dissertations going?" And if someone sort of says like, "I'm really struggling with this," someone straight away to come in and help them. And there's just that nice collegial experience to it. So yeah, the cohort is such a lovely part of the course, and I love my cohort. They're so great. So I think that's everything I was going to cover, and everything you maybe wanted me to cover,
That's
Lydia, hopefully.
great, Cassie. Thank you so much. And also, yes, is a really important part of the ICE experience is the cohort and the diverse ages and stages that people are at, and the advice they can offer each other, and the experience. So that's and the disciplinary advice and experience as well, which is also what the college gives you. So it's really important to hear about that. So thanks very much for highlighting that as well. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Moving on to the application process, if you're still with us. So the application process, I know that some people are put off by it. I know that from teaching students for many, many years. I know that it can be daunting and sort of mystifying. So here it is in sort of the most basic terms, what we're looking for. So a research proposal might sound quite scary, but really what that comprises of is a central question that you want to ask, a brief summary. So you'll have to do a little bit of research about what the state of knowledge is in that area. So what books have been written on it, what exhibitions have there been, what articles have been written about it. You're coming probably from a sort of certain foundation of knowledge, and then you want to build on that with a bit of probably be internet research at that point, perhaps talking to a few people, and getting a sense of that sort of the current state of knowledge in that area. Think really important is to think about where there might be gaps in knowledge and understanding, and so problems which you hope, or questions that you hope to ask, where you might sort of add to the field, and you might sort of ask new questions. You don't have to say at this point, of course, how you're going to, how you're going to answer it, but you need to know a little bit about how you might go about tackling those questions. So that means what kind of what methods might you use, what kind of approaches, what kind of writers have you experienced on this topic, and what sources you intend to use. So perhaps a list of paintings or pictures or sculptures, art objects that you want to look at, perhaps a small reading list, so things that have been written already that you would start your research with. And then a little bit about yourself. So another 500 words, a personal statement. So telling us what interests you about the course and what you sort of want from it in a way. So how it fits into your life. It could be that you're working at the same time. It could be that you want to change a career or something like that. It could be that you're coming from undergraduate straight away and you want to do your postgraduate. It could be that you're retired and you really want to indulge your passion for a particular discipline, a particular topic. It could be anything, but just tell us a sort of narrative of where it would fit into your life and how you see it fitting into your life as well. And the deadline is the 2nd of April, so don't let that pass you by.
And
But references, we do ask for 2 academic references, but we do also recognise this is not always possible. So if you've got somebody that you've worked with who could write you a reference, that would also count. Fees and funding, this is really Jonathan, my administrator colleague's domain. But since I've agreed to do the slides, I will just talk a little bit about it. The top bit is self-explanatory, so that gives you the fees for home students and overseas students. There may be a sort of grey area as to where you fit in, home or overseas. So please do ask our admissions team any questions you have about that. Jonathan may tell you a little bit more at the end about how you could pay or make payments for the course. What I did really want to outline is that although there are no bursaries and scholarships available for not PhDs, MSTs at ICE at the moment, the university does have some really useful web pages where you can search for funding. So we've got internal funding to the university. There's a web address there, and also external bodies and organisations who might offer postgraduate funding as well. And both of these searches include MST, so part-time master's courses as well. So it is worth looking there if you're thinking about funding. The ICE enrolment team are here to help. So everything that happens from now until you arrive, they are here to help. So here is their address, and you can also send in a course inquiry form on the website. And if you would like to email me about anything, any questions that you have, you're also very welcome to do that. So I think we've reached the Q&A stage, and I hope that some of you have questions that perhaps you've put in the question Q&A box for us. And I think one of my colleagues is going to read out a question that Christina, me, and Cassie can attempt to answer with the help of Jonathan, who is head of administration.
Thank you, Lydia. Yeah, so if you could, yes, just remind everyone it's the Q&A function if you would like to type in a question, and we'll do our very best to answer. The first question you may feel has already been covered, but it has been asked. Can I apply if my first degree is not related to history of art?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes, you can. I think you would need to know how your academic experience and your experience in general to date relate to history of art, and give you give you the skills, or at least that you need to let us know that you know the skills that you might need for pursuing history of art, but you do not have to have a full degree in history of art.
Thank you.
I think about half of our applicants maybe don't have history of art as a prior degree, and obviously a lot of them, like Cassie, are coming from other humanities subjects, but that's not necessary either. As Lydia says, if as long as you have an awareness of what it is that you can get out of a history of art degree, and also have, the research proposal is an opportunity for you to kind of show where that might develop for you.
Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. What are the key professional advantages that this master's offers, particularly in terms of career opportunities and skill development?
I don't know where to start. There are so many things that history of art gives you. It's one of those humanities subjects which really does cover so many things and gives you so many transferable skills. So it gives you very specific ones. So if you want to work in the art world, in auctions or in academia or in galleries, anything like that which involves art directly, obviously this history of art and visual culture would qualify you very highly to do that. But really the skills that you learn, the sort of critical, analytical skills, the writing skills, the presentation skills, the research skills, all of these things are very easily transferable to so many different jobs and different fields. It really depends what you want to go into. We have quite a lot of people who are sort of mid-career stage and already working in some capacity in the art world and want to slightly sort of change the direction of their job or their career and to go into a different area. And they need a deeper level of study of history of art to do that. There are others who work in completely different sectors and are doing it for the love of the subject. And there are just so, I don't know whether you want to add anything, Christina, because we have so many really diverse experiences within our cohorts.
I think it really is just my favorite thing about teaching ICE courses that, you know, I also teach undergraduates in the university, and it is a very different thing. You know, everyone who comes on the MST course wants to be there for the history of art content, for the, you know, for the course material as much as getting a degree. And that's really exciting for us as researchers in the field. But I think also, and I saw another question sort of saying, you know, our over 60s welcome. Like, we have such a range, like the over 70s are welcome. You know, it's really, we've had lots of really successful students who've come from an incredible range, and always extraordinary for us. It's what Cassie was saying, that actually the huge amount of different life experiences in the room can open up a whole range of different ways of thinking about art. And, you know, while still gaining that academic rigorous background, it's exciting for everyone. I've gone way off topic.
We were talking about careers.
Well, no, but also they're doing it for all kinds of different reasons. And I think, as you say, some of them are some of them are indulging a passion that sits alongside a totally different career, and some of them do want to use it professionally, and, you know, will be very successful in
and
that.
we've seen lots of success stories with our cohorts already in that area, haven't we? Yeah, great.
Thank you. Next question, maybe Cassie, I'd like to bring in here as our current student. How much interaction is there with other students on the course outside of residential teaching?
So it would probably be self-organized. We speak on, well, we self-organized a WhatsApp group, and I have to say we speak, if not weekly, then certainly bi-weekly. And it's usually just to help each other out for a bit of motivation. If someone sort of says, you know, oh, I'm slumped and I'm struggling with getting, you know, on with this essay or whatever, and you all sort of pal around each other and you say, you know, you help each other and say, oh, what are you struggling with? And there's just a lot of that. And then develop friendships, as you probably imagine. The residentials are kind of weird sort of suspension of reality, where you sort of just get to indulge your passions for an entire sort of week, and you develop such strong friendships with people as a result, because you're with them sort of all day. You find conversations with them, and, you know, I think I've, outside of kind of course stuff, I've gone for dinner with people, meet up and go to galleries and things like that. It's sort of self-organized, but I think the friendship drives it more than anything, and the kind of shared interests. You might have a friend who's also interested in a particular topic, and there's an exhibition that comes up or something, and you think, oh, we must go to this, that kind of thing. So I hope that answers the question well enough, around sort of outside of course time contact, mostly sort of self-organized WhatsApp, and then whatever you fancy.
Fantastic. Thank you, Cassie. The next question, I think, maybe for Christina and Lydia. It's around the practicalities of the year 2 day schools, where students are based overseas, quite a distance away. What are the arrangements for remote attendance on the 3-day schools?
Well, you can chip in here as well, Jonathan. But so we basically would like you to be present physically for those 3-day schools. However, if you cannot be there and you live in Canada, then that's fine. You can also join remotely, but we would really encourage you, if you have to join remotely for one, to join for the other 2 in person. So we sort of take quite a flexible approach to it, but with a strongly encouraged to be there in person, because I think, and Cassie may be able to talk to this as well, the sort of in-person experience is very rich. Yeah.
I think, oh, sorry, Cassie, did you want to go next?
I was only just to say, what I'd probably recommend in that respect, if you sort of saw it as like one day, that's quite a long trip and quite a lot of money for one day, rather than seeing it like that, I would make use of the time you're in. You know, obviously your own financial situation is up to you, but if you're able to come, then it does mean that you can sort of go to the university library and you make use of the resources, or also make arrangements to see people. And that's what we've done for the residentials this year. In the second year, our first thing, we came a couple of days early and we all went to the Fitz Museum, and then the next day we did dinner in a gallery and things. So that makes it feel more like a residential with that, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I would add to what Cassie was saying. I think we do have the capability for people to attend online, but I think people get a lot out of coming in person. And of course, at that point, also, you might be having supervisions with a Cambridge-based academic. There might be the possibility to organise an in-person supervision while you're here. There may be research materials that, like, a lot of our students use that as a research trip, basically. So they come to Cambridge for the day, but then they work in an archive in London, in the days around it. So it really depends what you're planning to work on and what's feasible for you. But I think it's not the case that it doesn't just have to be like you come for 24 hours and that would seem like a long trip, but there's more going on. And Cambridge also is full of stuff going on as well. And if you have a college and there may be things you want to go to when you're here, a lot of our students throw themselves into Cambridge life for the time that they attend.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We've got quite a few questions, so I am going to move us on if that's okay. There's a question which, Lydia, I think you might be best placed to ask. A couple of people have asked if they're not sure about going straight to a master's and they were thinking of doing some sort of bridging course. Could you give a brief explanation of the undergraduate advanced research diploma and how that's really different, I guess, from the MST?
Yeah, so at ICE we do an undergraduate certificate in history of art, which is entry level. We do a diploma. Both of these are over 2 years. We do a diploma, which is which is sort of research led and taught, and slightly sort of more in depth than the certificates. And then we do the advanced diploma. The advanced diploma is the equivalent experience that you would gain as an undergraduate in the humanities doing your sort of final year dissertation, so a long dissertation. It doesn't only allow you to write that dissertation in the second year, but it also in the first year, and I think this is probably, this is when you really learn how to become a researcher and you learn how to undertake your own research in the subject. So it's divided into 3 terms. In the first term, you learn how to put together a bibliography and do a literature review on a particular topic that you're interested in. In the second term, you learn how to approach that topic, so in terms of methods and approaches, and test out different ones that you might want to apply to a research topic. And in the third term, you learn how to communicate your research. So often as academics, and Christina's very good at this, we are called upon to present our research in different arenas and different formats. So maybe in a newspaper or on the radio, something like that, you get the chance to do a little film on your research, and also to start thinking about research networks and start making contacts in the field as well. So that's really invaluable, I think, the year 1 of the diploma, advanced diploma, and the second year is when you'd write your long dissertation. It's very individual whether it's very much depends on your personal experience as to whether you would find that valuable or not. But what I do know is that people who have not done a degree, especially in the arts and humanities before, find it incredibly valuable, and it really helps them excel on the MST, I would say.
Wonderful, thank you so much. A couple of questions have come in which I think are interlinked, and I'll leave you to decide who's best placed to answer. So one's about balancing study and work and how flexible this course is for busy professionals with a full-time job. And alongside that, roughly speaking, how much time should people be thinking about putting aside to study each week?
This is a complicated calculation. I think we calculated, didn't we, Jonathan? It is about 17 hours a week, but that sounds a lot because that's 2.5 working days. However, that includes everything. So that includes reading a book, going to an exhibition, anything that you do towards thinking about your topic. So it sounds scary, but it isn't that scary. And you can work out from that timing that if you were working full time, if you worked on your weekends and a little bit every evening, you could fit it in. And as I said, that is including everything. So it is including reading and everything. we do have lots of people who work full time and do the MST. So we know that it can be done. We also know that it's not as easy, obviously, as not working and doing the MST. So we do offer a lot of support, not only academically, but also pastorally. So through your college, everybody has a college tutor who can help them with workloads and deadlines, and extensions if you needed that. If your work became overwhelming, you could apply for extensions and things like that. So we do help you with that and keep an eye on it. But we've seen that it's possible from our cohorts that we've had already.
We definitely have people. We have an investment banker at the moment who's definitely like extremely busy in the week. And yeah, in terms of the course structure, obviously, apart from the 4 days where you are expected to attend every day and like the whole time, and it's residential, like then it's a case of working from home or potentially taking your own time, being flexible about that to go to archives or whatever it is that you need to do for your research. But yeah, it's definitely that there are loads of them doing it, so it's definitely possible.
Thank you. The next question, Lydia, I think you may agree is difficult to answer because the question is, what career paths have previous graduates pursued after completing the course? Did you want to give the context of the first cohort having just recently completed?
Yeah, it is tricky because this is going to be our fourth cohort. So in fact, our first cohort have only just submitted their dissertations. So we don't know necessarily what they're going to go on to do over the next couple of years.
But we can tell you what what some of them are planning to do. So we've got several who want to go on to do PhDs and are making their applications now in the second year, or some who took a year out but are also applying. We've got people who had already started down a kind of museum consultancy route from their own personal experience, but wanted to get the art history expertise to really turn that up a few notches. And those people have been incredibly successful in the years since starting the course. And what else have we got? We've got people, pursuing museum and gallery work as well. So, but it's very flexible, and this is, I mean, it's always the question, what do you do with a history of art degree? But like, I mean, we live in such a visual culture now that anything, deep fakes, AI, like just being able to analyze an image is such a valuable skill. And it's bound to be relevant in a huge range of careers going forward. And I think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg on that anyway in the culture, let alone the fact that this is a quite new course.
Another
Fantastic.
thing that Cambridge is really helpful for is networking, and you meet a lot of people who can give you insights into careers, tell you what's going on, currently in your area, and really sort of help you that way. So that's a real bonus.
I'm conscious of time and we're nearly at the end of the session. There's a couple of questions that have come in. One is very specific around whether the dissertation can focus on architectural history. So I'm just wondering if there isn't time to answer that type of question here. Would it be possible for people to contact you directly, or would you?
Absolutely, yeah.
But the answer is yes.
Yeah, the answer is yes, yeah. Architectural.
We can do that very quickly, yes.
Topics welcomed, yes.
That does bring us, in fact, to the end of the questions that we've received.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you so much, Cassie, for coming. And I think that brings us to the end of the session in that case. And thank you all for coming. And I hope to see applications from you before long.